Greetings, God bless, and welcome back. So I was listening to an audiobook called Gemline, and I had actually just been looking up genetics books at my library, and it just brought up this science fiction novel, and they were talking. So they were talking about genetics, genetic super soldiers, and I guess maybe these synthetic. I haven't read the book all the way through. I'll put the link in the description box. But they were talking about, like, don't know when this book was written, but they were talking about um, drugs that the military used when they were deployed or something like that. And it's sort of like amphetamines, like it was just stuff that um, soldiers out in the field were used to cope with the stress or whatever. And so they described fentanyl and Trank and like something else or whatever. But this was a drug that these people who went out into the field used in order to endure being blown up or whatever. And and I'm just like, wow, because I've just been hearing in the news that a lot of the addiction that's now February 2023 is this combination. Like it was fentanyl, I guess, the past few years. Before that, it was meth, and before that, it was crack. Um, but it seems like fentanyl is the big thing now. And then recently, um, this stuff called Trank, which I guess is this horse sedative or horse pain pill or something. But apparently, they're saying that the Mexican cartel is doing this, adding this. But like I don't think. I mean, even if the Mexican cartel is killers and human traffickers, even if they do hate us, I think the people in the deep state in the United States hate Americans more than the Chinese Communist Party, than the Mexican cartel, than the Nazis. I mean, I think there's no hate for America than Americans, the progressive liberal Americans. So, anyways, I think they're trying to say that the Mexicans are adding this Trank because apparently it's harder to quit fentanyl that when it's mixed with Trank than fentanyl all by itself. But anyway, so I think big pharma is involved because the only way these perfect little pills are made, they're not made in somebody's backyard. These are made professionally. These the big pharma has the mainstream market, but they also are producing for the black market, like big pharma. Like they're just it's so evil. Nobody does anything because they're in on it. Everybody's in on it. But anyway, so in this science fiction novel, and I don't have the date of publication, but I'm thinking I don't know that book might be have been maybe within the past 10 years, but it's just so wild that it predicted this combination, right? Isn't that kind of weird? Because isn't hearing about Trank kind of a new thing to you? Like everybody's been hearing about fentanyl, but I've just heard about Trank maybe a week or two ago. And then I'm reading this science fiction novel that's talking about uh, soldiers using fentanyl and Trank. And so, okay, so if this is something that um, military super soldiers use, or I don't know, just regular soldiers use, because they're doing drugs. Like even though they're said they're not allowed to do drugs. See, that's the thing about a lot of things that like somebody hypes it up, and then it's a lie. They hype it up, they get you invested, they get your identity invested, they get it all so you will be humiliated if you turn around, even if you're justified. So it's like you're blackmailed. It's like you're bamboozled, you're blackmailed, you're bribed. I mean, that's just it seems like that's how the world works a lot of the time. And so people are doing drugs or they're on medications, and that's the thing. Uh, like there are, uh, you know, like Google. They used to say like trying not to be evil, or let's not be evil, or they had this like, and they stopped using it because they're evil now. They've totally embraced that they're evil now. Um, and that's the thing, is like someplace is prestigious, like working for, Queen Elizabeth, and then she's like a reptilian, and they do human trafficking and stuff like that. So it's like they find, the reptilians, if I, just for an interesting notion, they find good people to work for them. Then these good people are working for them, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is a person. This is reptilian. There's human trafficking going on." Very few people. Nobody listens to whistleblowers, and if anybody does listen to whistleblowers, the whistleblowers are. I mean, just look at it statistically. Like they are taken out unless they are in with a secret society, unless they have some sort of protection, and then they get to be around, but they have to be quiet. Um, but their reputation is assassinated. Uh, so it's really, there's so little value in being a whistleblower. You just have to have like an insane amount of idealism, and that's the kind of person I am. But there's not a lot of people like me. I mean, it's like 1 in a million, maybe 1 in a billion now. Um, so people are assuming if bad things are happening, if so and so is participating in human trafficking, which is so much of business is involved in human trafficking, but nobody will say anything because it's really not worth it. Even, I mean, for me, like that that any human is suffering, is enslaved or whatever, that's worth anything, to like reveal, to do an expose, to protect against. But a lot of people are like, I don't care. Like, I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my status. I'm taking care of my family. I'm taking care of my child. Like, and I notice like a lot of parents can be despicable because they're like, well, I'm doing this for my child, you know. So anyway, though, um, I'm just, and so people are idealistic, and they're fed this idealistic dream, like of joining the military. And the thing is, they're going into the military, they become an addict. They're see the commanding officer knows that these guys are going to become addicts. The commanding officers expect these soldiers to be using these drugs in order to function, because the commanding officers in the army, they need these warm bodies for this theater, for this display, for this satanic ritual. I think very rarely is military or even police actions. I think it's very rare that it's actually trying to help anybody. I do think it's more of some type of powerful ritual, this magical ritual. And then these people get out. They leave the police force, or they leave the military. I know those are very distinct, very, the military's worse, yeah, yeah, whatever. Um, and so then these military end up homeless, mentally ill, addicted, and nobody cares. And then they're just some sort of loser. And then they have to deal with all this crap. If they do have ability to function, they're dealing with all this trouble with the VA. And from my personal experience of working with public services, it is a hassle, and there's all sorts of weird shenanigans going on. Um, so yeah, and some people would probably say, well, that's just how it is. Life is full of disappointment. Life is just scrappy, and you just need to be strong enough to deal with it. And the thing that troubles me is that when I'm engaging with these disgusting human trafficking government agencies, they expect me to be honest. They expect me to fulfill my obligations. They expect me to be on time. They expect me to make the appointments. They expect me to do all this stuff, which would be considered common decency, but they don't have to. They lose my document 5 times. They don't like the first document that they did receive that was complete. They want something else. They don't give you the proper phone number. They call and have you dial a 1-800 number, and you're having to wait weeks to talk to anybody. Or if you have an issue, you're ignored. Uh, so uh, it's like there's this double standard in this evil world, in this morally bankrupt world. And if I wanted to do this, like do the woke agenda, I'd probably get a little bit more response, not because of a moral thing, but because of just this cultural sway. It's just because this reaction, not because anybody actually cared. It's because it's the cult, it's the theater again. It's like if I pretended to be something, um, like people would be so interested and so devoted to the theater if I was wanting to wear a mask and having a gender thing, and if I had a different color, uh, you know, then maybe things would be better. Um, like there'd be better treatment than being just an ordinary, what you see is what you get right here. So yeah, I just am wondering if the major drug addiction that's harming America right now, I wonder if it came from the military. I wonder if it was something the military used, and it was then just disseminated to the public. And because somebody, Satan, wants to kill America, hates America because America is Christian, and because America is a safe place for Jewish people, like God's chosen people, original people. Uh, so, to destroy soldiers, Satan wants to destroy soldiers, and whoever is working for Satan, those are the top guys in the military. That's the only way these generals or elected officials or whoever's in charge of the military, the only way any big person gets involved there, gets into a high position, is because they are working for these secret societies. They know people, they've done things that, so then Satan gives them these prestigious positions, and Satan wants to destroy everything. Satan, but he doesn't want to destroy everything like all at once. It is possible to just eliminate all life, you know, to blow up the earth right now. But Satan wants the human sacrifices. He wants the rape of innocents. He wants violent murders. He gets off on the desecration and the suffering. So he doesn't destroy us all at once. He likes this slow, horrific holocaust, which drug addiction is. Untreated drug addiction, ignored drug addiction, deliberately engineered situations where these young people are put in the military or put in front of some type of indoctrination, and it destroys them. And so then they become addicted, and they don't to get to know God. So yeah, I'm just wondering if this drug thing actually came from the military. I wonder if it's an engineered thing to just destroy the weaker people, who are mentally ill and homeless. Because that's where it seems like the fentanyl, like this, that like it's like turning into flesh eating, because the drugs probably mess up with their circulation or whatever. So they're like, they have these terrible sores and gangrene and stuff like that. But so is it engineered? Did this come from the military? Does the military have an issue with fentanyl and trank? Um, so I, it's just, it's sad, and and like, if people were just given the truth that when you're going to embark upon, you go to college, and they're like, oh yeah, it'll all work out, and then after you've been there, you're like, oh wow, there's not going to be a job that's going to pay me enough so I can pay off my student loans. There's not going to be housing that I can afford as well as pay off my student loans. Like, they don't tell you all this stuff. And uh, you know, I guess everybody's expecting your parents to know, but sometimes, like, I was the first person that went to college that took out student loans in my family, so they didn't have any experience with that, and they had other stuff going on. Um, but I just feel like this world, we're told we're supposed to do this. Oh, go get married. Oh, go buy a house. But they don't really tell you how to be a good spouse or find a good spouse. They don't. You hear like people are taking out loans in these 30-year mortgages, and then you hear that the bank is selling the bond or something that the mortgage is, and the bank, if you don't pay, the bank forecloses, even though the bank never lost any money on that house, and they actually made money off of your loan. Like there's just all this corruption in the very fabric of everything, from the protection and defense of our country to the home that we want to buy to marriages and going to school and teachers. And it's just, I mean, right now the world is ruled by Satan, and human beings in the world, it's fallen, it's sinful. And I just think people just need to be straight up and stop having this double standard. Stop expecting me or us to think that they're better than they are. Government officials are lying, stealing, cheating, murderous people. And, let's just have that on the table. This is what it is. Don't expect me to treat you like a safe person. Don't expect me to treat you like my child is safe to be in your presence, or that I'm even safe to be in your presence. Like everybody needs to get a clue. Like treat like people are murderers. Who are ending people's lives in the hospitals when they're put on a vent, when somebody's put on a vent, when they have no phlegm, when their lungs are fine. They may be having hypoxia, oxygen deprivation, but it's not because of phlegm. Their sinuses are clear, their throat is clear, they have no phlegm, and so then this ventilator is going 100 miles an hour, and it's shearing off the alveoli of the lungs, and then the hospital gets to call that CV when there hasn't been anything like that identified. Like those people should not be applauded. They shouldn't have. They shouldn't be served. They should have their soup thrown in their lap, their drinks thrown in their faces. Right? I mean, I know nobody believes or agrees with me, but there's been an institutionalized population control thing going on. And the thing is, this population control, these executions have been excruciating. People are being strapped down because the elderly people are trying to get out, and nurses don't want to be bothered. In nursing homes, the aides don't want to be bothered. Like they're there because they want their paycheck. They're there because they want their lifestyle. They're there because they want their prestige and their leverage. They're not there to take care of you. And it just boggles my mind that people are still going back. People are still trusting these people. I mean, praise the Lord, they're getting out alive. I'm amazed. I mean, I've known people who the hospital attempted murder 4 times. Even though the mother was right, or even though the wife and the mother of 3 children and fourth on the way, like the hospital's just trying to kill this guy. This father of 3, soon to be 4. And they just wanted their $300,000 because they wanted to call it a CV thing when it wasn't even. So these people who are getting blood money, they're filling their bank accounts with blood money. They should be shunned. They should be shamed. And they do not deserve like to be treated like decent people. Serial murderers do not deserve to be honored. Serial murders do not deserve to be treated politely, kindly, because they murdered people for money and they felt they were justified. They say they're doing their job. But I'm probably like 1 out of 3 people. I go on different platforms because I'm uploading a image or an article or something like that. And the trolls nowadays, man, I would say the past, I would say since December of last year, man, the trolls are so mean. Even on alternative news sites like Godlike Productions, really mean, psychotic people, like abusive people. It's weird. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Like, and it wasn't like this before. I mean, when I was into learning about Ron Paul and people were pro Obama, like they weren't. Nobody was that bad. And the thing is, what I'm noticing is that it's conservatives. Like I get a sense that these are conservative kind of guys that are really, and I'm being conservative, but I just get this tone that it's a conservative that's being a mean troll, abusive troll. I mean, and then we've got the progressive liberal Marxist nihilist Satanist that's also a troll, but it has that tone. It has a different tone to it, like in their texts. But anyways, yeah, we need help. I know we need Jesus. We're not going to be able to figure this out ourselves. People are, trying to create their own economy and their own grow their own garden and create their own community. The globalists are not going to let that happen. Like we're like there's that ice wall that nobody's allowed to go, like in Antarctica or something like that. Like the only way we're going to escape these globalists is if we're beyond their physical reach. I mean, with the train derailments and setting fire to different types of chemicals. Like when I was on Imager briefly, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's fake. Oh, the train derailment's fake. The toxins in the water is fake." It's like it's in the news. But wow, it's just amazing. I'm not. I just can't. It's hard to get my mind around people being so willfully ignorant. It's sort of like the air. Like air isn't real, or this isn't real. Like this is a figment of my imagination. I mean, that's what so much of interacting online seems to be. And people are saying that the internet is dead. That 80% of the internet is run by chats or chatbots or AI. I don't know all the terminology, but maybe that's it. Because what some of these people who are online are just so mean, so abusive, so vile. Uh, yeah. So, um, but I think if the military is using these hard drugs to have their soldiers just walk into battle and kill them, be killed, and then this drug has made its way into the public, it's being facilitated because the pharmaceutical industry is making these things and making sure they're distributing through the black market. I mean, yeah, that's something. I don't know. I don't know if anything could be done. You know, I really don't. And if anything could be done, would anybody do anything? They're certainly not doing much now. There's like maybe 100 people doing anything in the world to really help it, to really fix it. Maybe 1,000. Anyway, um, just wanted to share those thoughts. So thanks for watching. God bless.